Hello there, people watching on the internet. My name is Leah and I'm the editor of Plumbing and HVAC magazine. I'm here at Eden Energy with Michael Ridler, and he's going to show me how to do electrofusion. So why don't you take it off, Mike?
Yeah, sounds good. So we are going to do electrofusion on some PPRCT pipe. This is made by a company called Nupi. So the advantage that this type of piping has, number one, is cost. It's a very cost-effective way to do things. This material in larger diameters from 2-inch and up is significantly less money than copper or black steel. The other nice thing about that is if I was trying to teach you how to solder or weld 2-inch piping, we would not be doing that in a short 10-minute video. And there is absolutely no contractor in the world that would allow you to do this in a real-world scenario. The reality is when we're done this and when we leave here, you can go down the road to that meat plant and start fusing 6-inch piping.
Awesome.
If they let you in to do it, and we have zero concerns on whether it's going to be a good weld, whether it's going to hold up or not.
Awesome.
So as we look at this material, it's important to understand that when we're going to weld this, there's a few steps that we have to take. So the first thing that we want to do is we have to make sure that this fitting is actually going to fit on the pipe.
Okay.
So the OD of this pipe is such that the fitting doesn't quite go on, and it's intentional. We want to make sure that we remove the outer layer of this pipe. So the outside of this pipe will oxidize. What will happen is it'll react to the sunlight, the air around you, and so we want to make sure we remove that, and we also want to make sure that we can get the fitting on so that when we fuse it, it's getting fused on properly.
Okay.
So when we look inside this fitting, there's a stop that you can see. So this stop right here, we want to make sure that the fitting goes all the way down to that stop.
Okay.
The reason it needs to go down to that stop isn't like some random arbitrary reason. If you look inside of this fitting, you can see, and if you run your finger in there, Leah, you'll actually feel it. That's an element.
Okay.
So what's going to happen is we're going to peel the outside of this pipe. This fitting is going to fit on. We'll have another pipe here, and you're going to fuse it. This element is going to have a charge that goes through it, and that's what's going to cook it.
Hence electrofusion.
Hence electrofusion. So the simplicity of this, I tell everybody, and I don't care what your skill level is, whether you're my 16-year-old son or a 45-year-old tradesperson, if you can do self-checkout at the grocery store, you can do electrofusion. So what we want to make sure is that we want to make sure we peel enough of this that this fitting will go on. So there's two different ways that we can do it.
Okay.
The one way that you can do is you can see that stop already, and that stop gets translated to the outside of the fitting. So what I could do is I can take my marker, I can line up just past where that stop is, and I can put a mark on the pipe. So now that I've marked my depth, I know how far I need to peel on that pipe. Now I want to be sure, did I actually peel enough material off? The way I'm going to know that is I'm going to do this. So I'm going to put black marks on this because you're going to take a peeler, you're going to peel the outside of it, and your first cue on whether you've peeled enough off is going to be, is there any marker left on the outside of it?
Okay, that's a good little trick.
What we're going to do is we're going to take this is called a turbo peeler. So these turbo peelers come in different sizes from basically 1-inch up to 2-inch. And so this peeler, sort of like a press tool where you would have a 2-inch press jaw, 1.5-inch press jaw, we're going to use it to peel off the outside layer of the pipe. So as we look at it, this piece right here is going to, as I pull the trigger, it's going to push the pipe off. The other thing that we have to be conscious of, as it's pushing the pipe off, there's a blade.
Yes.
So this blade is what's actually going to do the peeling.
Yes, okay.
Okay? So I'll do the first one, and then you'll do the second one, so we just sort of get a feel for it.
All right.
If I just try to ram it on, it's not going to go on.
Yeah.
The secret to that is I'm going to hold the bottom of this blade, and as you can see, it's going to move.
Okay, a little pin almost.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're just going to hold down, and as you can see, it very easily went on at that point. Now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the trigger on the peeler. When you first do it a little bit slowly so you get a feel for it. And you want to keep a little bit of pressure on it, just so that as the blade pulls off, it has something to peel. I'm not going to, right? It's just a small amount. I'm going to get in my CrossFit position, as Corey would say, right? Giving me a hard time about it.
Yeah.
So we're going to pull the trigger. And as you can see, as it locks itself off, that's not me doing it. It's removing a thin layer of plastic on the outside of the pipe.
Okay. I'm going to help clean that up. Okay. It looks a little different there. I was wondering if something had happened, but no. Nice and clean.
So it's a pretty nice peel that we got off that. So if you grab that coupling now, we're going to check and see.
Now you can still see some like almost bleeding from the marker. That's fine?
No, so we would want that to be off. My expectation is that that's not going to go on. So let's find out. Let's see if you can get that on. You don't want to force it. So see, the visual cue works. That's why I had you do this, right?
Okay.
So if you can see any kind of marker left on it, it's a good idea that you want to peel it again.
Okay.
So I've prepared it for you.
Okay.
I'm going to hand it off to you as the new expert.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to remember the pin to begin with. You called it the blade.
Yeah, so hold down on the base. It's a little tricky. You got to figure out your hands. Which arm?
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, we got to go. I'm right-handed dominant, so I got to go that way. There we go. And it's now snug.
Yep.
So you said a little bit of resistance. Don't have to do the full CrossFit.
Right, not the full CrossFit thing. Yeah.
And then you go.
Okay, stop. So it's in the wrong direction. Now you're good.
Alrighty.
So by you putting a little bit of pressure on it, that's why you're getting this really nice peel.
Okay. Can you go too far on it?
No, so what you want to be careful of is if you pull off carefully now. So what you've done is you've managed to work the blade to its very end. See where it is right here?
Yeah.
Which is perfect.
Oh, okay.
Usually what people do is they get impatient. What I'm going to show you is they'll do this. So they'll get it on and they won't let it peel this outer edge. They'll pull it off too soon.
Yeah, I was concerned that was going to happen.
So what ends up happening is they get this great peel, but this edge right here doesn't get peeled, and then they complain saying the fittings don't come on and off. So if you try your fitting again.
All right, now she looks a lot cleaner in there. And being nice and it goes in perfectly. Is there a way to tell on this side? Yes, it is. You can see it on this side.
Right, so when you have a single piece like that, you can actually see by looking down through this end that the pipe is touching the stop.
And so for the rookie who wanted to inspect her work, it's nice to be able to check like this now.
For sure. Now, the other method, which is the preferred method of how you would want to measure this, is to do so.
Okay.
Take your tape measure from the stop out so I can see it's 2 inches, which coincides with what fitting it is. And then what I would end up doing is just taking my marker and I would mark just underneath that depth, which is there, so that when I slide that fitting on, yes, I can see because there's no pipe here, but if I obviously have a pipe on this side, I need to be able to see what's happening, okay? As we do the actual electrofusion, we would normally have 2 10-foot lengths. They would be mounted and fastened on the wall. You would never want to actually do this with these pieces loose because this will kick up, down, left, right. It can look really funky. So we want to make sure that we follow the manufacturer's instruction to fasten it right to the wall. But for what we're doing, we're not going to fasten a 12-inch piece of PPR to the wall. So we have it assembled. The one step that we have to do before we can do any cooking on it is we actually do have to clean these fittings. So we're going to clean them with some isopropyl alcohol, get them nice and clean, get any oil from my hands off of it. So we've got some isopropyl here for you. Here you go. You get to be the professional. You can clean this one first, I guess.
Thank you, thank you.
I just want to use something to wipe it that's not going to leave any kind of lint or material behind. So if you want to get some isopropyl on that. We intentionally got you the plunger style, so you need 3 hands to do this.
It's a plunger. What does that mean?
Well, you're going to find out. We haven't shown you how to work this, so let's see if you're a pro or...
Oh, God. Ah! It works.
Hey, we got it. Yeah, there you go. So now you're going to give this one a nice wipe. Once you've wiped it, obviously don't rub your hands all over it. That kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. I was actually wondering that when we were doing the graffiti markering up, I was wondering if it necessarily needed to be cleanly before we made an actual
so what we don't want to do is we don't want to try to do any kind of electrofusion if we have debris on the pipe, right? So we're not building rocket ships here. Do that in as well. You're exactly right. But we do want to keep it clean.
This is a funky little bottle.
Well, we also have a spray bottle. It was really your choice on which one you wanted.
This is true. I went with the one that was handed to me.
Right, so because we've tested the fitting before, we actually checked the depth on both of these, and what I mean by that is you did this, you knew it went to the stop, you did this, you knew it went to the stop. I'm not so concerned about any marks on the pipe. But it's important we say that while we have a camera on because we want to make sure people understand how do we know the fitting is all the way in and the fitting is not here. If the fitting ends up halfway inside that pipe, you have half the element exposed to air. And what's going to happen is as you cook it and as that plastic melts, you're going to get some smoke. And it's not going to cook properly. So we want to make sure it's all the way in, which is why we did that test.
Now we don't have to clean inside the fitting too? That's
inside of the fitting is good, but we actually already cleaned the fitting. So it came out of a bag. This fitting came out of a sealed bag, but I'm glad you said that. You would want to clean the fitting, especially if it's just arbitrarily laying around in a dirty warehouse, dirty job site.
Because it feels like half productive cleaning the pipe, but not cleaning the fitting as well. So,
100%.
That makes sense to me.
So now that we have this assembled, we're going to use the computer to cook everything. So the computer is behind you.
Oh, okay.
So we just have to actually turn the computer on. So this is the barcode, super high tech.
Yeah.
And with the barcode, we have these two probes.
Okay.
So what's going to happen is we are going to hook these up to the fitting. They're very specific, so A goes on A and B goes on B if you want to put A on A and B on B.
Does it have a marker on it, or do you just know?
No, I'm completely messing with you.
You are 100% messing
There's no A, there's
with
no
me.
B. You just put them wherever. So they're not polarity sensitive.
Too trusting, Mike.
They're not polarity sensitive. We're playing on how simple it is.
Too trusting.
You can put them either way. The reality is, if you put one on and if you left one on the ground, it's not, the computer will not allow you to do it wrong.
Okay.
You literally cannot do this wrong, which is the nice part. Unfortunately, I made you the brunt of the joke, but I thought it was hilarious.
It's okay. I'm used to it.
So once it's all assembled like this, what we're going to do is we're going to follow the instructions on the computer.
Okay.
So as we go over to the computer is now saying, what is your operating mode? So what we're going to do is we're going to scan a barcode on that fitting. So every fitting that gets made has a barcode on it.
Okay.
When we scan that barcode, the computer now knows what you're cooking, what the cook time is, how much energy it needs to actually weld that fitting. So again, when I said self-checkout at the grocery store, this is all we're doing right here. No pressure, but we're about to find out if you can do self-checkout at the grocery store.
I'm an expert at this point, Mike.
So at this point, we're going to use the barcode. The one above it, manual, would be if for some reason you damaged the barcode or ripped the barcode off, you could manually tell it it's a 2-inch fitting, it's a 90, it's a coupling.
Okay.
It hasn't happened yet, but again, you have to be prepared.
For sure.
So we're going to say yes. Right here is where you would enter your operator code. This whole system is backed by a warranty that covers the pipe and more than just the pipe from any kind of damage that's going to happen.
Okay.
The way that Nupi is able to confirm whether you are qualified is, believe it or not, when we're done this, you are going to be a certified Electrofusion welder.
Fancy.
And we're going to get you a certificate that says that.
Fancy.
You would enter that code in only once.
Okay.
At this point, it's saying, what are we doing? There's 3 options. We can weld, which is obviously what we're doing. We could download the memory. So this actually keeps every weld you do. So you, at the end of the job, you can give the building owner an Excel report of here's all the welds we did. They all passed. They're all good welds. It gives you peace of mind you did a good job.
Okay.
You could also delete the memory. So if it's a new job, delete what's ever in the computer, and anything we do today is going to be new. Obviously, we don't care, so we're going to do welding. At this point, it's going to tell you to scan the barcode. So you're going to grab the barcode scanner.
All right. Heading back to the grocery store. Okay.
And you're going to come over to the self-checkout till at the grocery store, and you're going to scan the barcode. So you got it on the first try. So high five for that. That's some serious skill.
Thank you, thank you.
The way you know it works is you will get 2 beeps, right?
Okay.
You will hear the barcode beep and you will hear the computer beep. So if you only hear one beep, the other thing they'll tell you is when we look at the computer, it's going to tell us, hello there, you just scanned a coupler, which is the other term for a coupling. It is a 63 millimeter, which is 2-inch. It's telling us it's going to take 40 volts and it's going to take 200 seconds.
Okay.
So we're going to say, yep, we're going to do that. Again, did we scrape it? Did we peel the outside of the pipe? If we forgot that step, it's going to ask us. That's our cue of, whoops, we didn't scrape it. Whoops, we didn't clean it. So you manually clean the pipe. The fitting was already clean because it came out of a bag. We knew it was good. And we inspected it to make sure there was nothing in it.
You did.
So now it's saying, again, are you using a pipe aligner? So if we were doing this with 10-foot lengths and we tried to cook it without proper mounts on the wall, it can become a bit of a spaghetti. If you have it fastened to the wall properly, it's going to be straight as steel. So we want to make sure that happens. Here we're not doing that for obvious reasons.
And we're only dealing with little pipes.
This is your last opportunity. Are you sure that everything you just said is true?
Yes.
We're going to say yes, and it's going to proceed to cook. What it's doing right now is it's checking the resistance between the 2 probes to make sure the nominal resistance is within normal range.
Okay.
It's past that, and now what it's doing is it's cooking that fitting.
Does that nominal range change?
It will. It will. So it's just doing an internal check. There's nothing we need to do.
Okay.
But if it didn't have the proper resistance, it will not allow it to get to cook. So for example, you could be plugged into an outlet that has 50 other high amp draw devices plugged into it. So, or you might be at the end of a 200-foot extension cord. We'd like, can you take that 200-foot freight extension cord out of the equation and just plug directly in? So as we watch now, we can see what's happening. We can see how many watts is being fed. This bar right here is going to go from 0 to 100%, which is showing the cooking process.
So it's working right now?
So if we go over to the fitting, we obviously don't want to disturb it in any way, but if I touch it, and you can, just put your hand here.
Okay. And pretend my hand.
It's cold. The interesting part is when the computer beeps and it's done, if we wait a minute, we're going to come back and do this and go, ooh, Because
okay.
what's happening is that element is on the inside of the fitting.
Yeah.
It's cooking the pipe to the fitting, and that heat has to resonate out through that fitting, so it doesn't happen right away.
Okay.
So as it cooks, there starts to be a little bit of heat. So if you put your hand there now, right, you feel just a little bit.
A tiny bit.
Right, and then over the next minute or so, you're going to feel more of that
Okay.
happening. So what'll happen is, while this fitting is cooking, we'll have another fitting that's waiting to cook. So you would actually pre-assemble the entire system, mount it on the wall, get everything good to go, and literally just go from fitting to fitting, cooking the system.
Wow, okay.
Right? So as this is finishing, one of the things that's really important to us is we need to be able to identify, because as I said, we might have 100 of these fittings in the building, we might have 2.
Yeah.
When you're doing it, you need to be sure to know, is this fitting cooked? So what we like to do is we like to mark the fitting, and we want to put a date and an initial on it so that we know that the fitting's been done. So you're going to put your initials and the date on the fitting so we know this one's been cooked.
Does it matter stylistically?
It does not.
Okay. What day is it?
That's a fantastic question. We plan so well. So we're going to say it's the 18th of May.
18th.
Hopefully that's true.
I think so.
Perfect.
Do I have to put the year?
It's up to you.
We're not going to put the year.
Perfect. Perfect. And what's our computer saying? We got to be pretty darn close to finishing up here.
We're close to 60, 70%.
So every fitting takes a different amount of energy to cook and a different amount of time.
Okay. Does the length of pipe, does that determine how long it takes to it? Does any
It's the
pressure on
diameter
it?
of the fitting that dictates what it is. So if it's a 6-inch fitting, it's going to take more time. If it's a 1/2-inch fitting, it's going to take less time. The only thing the diameter of pipe comes into play is that we need to make sure we have the right amount of fasteners at the right distance. So we provide a little handbook to anybody that we certify, because we don't expect you to remember the spacing for different pipes, where you can actually go to the site with your little cheat book and go, okay, I know what I'm doing. We also have it as a PDF for digital people like me and you that we don't want to carry a book around. A little book we can have on the computer.
Okay.
Or on our phone, sorry.
Okay. Oh, we're almost at 100.
Perfect.
Doing the countdown now.
Getting close, getting close.
Is it going to do a nice level
It is. It is. So as soon as it gets to the end of the point where it's fully cooked, it's going to beep at us.
There we go.
There you go. So at that point, you can disconnect the probes. It's going to keep beeping until you do disconnect the probes.
Okay.
And you're done. Awesome.
There we go.
One of the things, once it is cooked, if this was properly mounted on the wall, we want to make sure we're not disturbing it, because it is still sort of heating itself and forming into a formed connection.
Can I try the heat again?
For sure. So try the heat, right?
Okay, yeah.
It's a huge difference.
Oh, very big difference.
So we're going to illustrate what we don't want to do. What we don't want to be doing is doing this.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Right? Because as you can imagine, this fitting is trying to set, and if I'm messing with it, again, that's why it needs to be fastened to the wall properly. Otherwise, it's going to kick out, kick in, it's going to look terrible. The joint is probably not going to be compromised, but why take that chance? Make sure everything's fastened in properly.
How long does it usually typically take for it to actually...
So the nice part is, if you look at the fitting, it actually will tell you that it's going to take 40 volts.
Okay.
It's going to take 200 seconds to cook, and the fitting needs to sit for 15 minutes.
Okay.
So a lot of people will go, that's such a pain, I got to wait 15 minutes. You're going to cook all these fittings all the way down until it's complete.
Yeah.
And the reality is the 15 minutes starts from the last fitting, not the first.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.